Welcome to Giants Nation. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, the Football Grump, and we got ourselves a Giants-Bears preview. Week 10, the 2-7 New York Giants versus the 5-3 Chicago Bears in Chicago. Robert Smith no longer does football content, so no 30-minute, 45-minute interview with him talking ball. I texted him today, and I asked him a couple questions and said, I'm sad we're not going to do it. But Grump, how are we doing? Let's go, dude. It's Giants football.
I'm doing all right. It is a bummer that Robert Schmitz can't join us because wealth of football knowledge, definitely knows the Bears inside and out. And I mean, like Ben Johnson added. We're going to get into all of this, but Ben Johnson adds like a whole dimension. Like you could study Ben Johnson's offense for probably a full year and not really understand it all the way. So
Yeah, Rob
it
really
is a
screwed that up. It'd be have be a lot of fun for his all 22 Tuesdays
yeah,
or
nice
all
nice
20
going.
Tuesdays.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I am excited to talk about this because this is a cool matchup, and I I I think there's a lot to dive into.
First, this episode was brought to you by a couple special people. We got Michael Ferrari, and he actually doesn't drive a Ferrari. He drives a Honda Civic. And then just Bruce. There's so many Bruces. There's Wacky Bruce. Hey, we did a Wacky Bruce thing on the podcast on Monday. Remember, when
Oh yeah,
shirt
yeah.
from Bruce
Bruce Almighty. What do
Almighty.
you think? Yeah.
Great movie. Evan Almighty, not so much.
Not great.
But Bruce Almighty was a good one. So who are these wacky guys, Grump?
These wacky people make this show possible because they went to patreon.com/Giants Nation and subscribed for one of two tiers where they got to receive stickers in the mail from you, Bobby Skinner. They also get to enter into a monthly free t-shirt raffle. And most importantly, they get access to hang out with us during live recordings of episodes like this one, and they get access to weekly game tape breakdowns that you do. They were glad they did, and you'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. Keep the show alive, baby. Um, Before we get into a full preview of this game, Graham Gano's injured again.
I I don't even know what to say anymore. Like I'm beyond the point of like absolute rage.
Well,
But I feel like we've said everything there is to say about how stupid this is, and this is almost just comedic.
oh, it is comedic. Now, here's what I'll say. This is an anti-death threat podcast, by the way. So on other Giants podcasts mysteriously have not come out as that. We are an anti-death threat podcast, so please don't do that to Graham Gano. Um, Weather segments, that's a little bit of a different story. But we all have exceptions that we make in life. But no, it is comical at this point. Like we do our little 3-minute pre-show meeting of like the rundown of what we want to hit on. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just not even mad anymore. It is just funny. So Graham Gano said he had discomfort in his neck last week. Um, he got a pain in the neck. And then he worked out Monday and he had a herniated disc in his neck when they went and looked at it. I'm sure Grump's going to tell us he's had 8 of those in, his experience.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, was diagnosed when he was lifting weights on Monday. But have no fear. He is going to get an injection in it and he's going to try and kick, even though it might be Young Waku on Sunday.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's not Graham Gano's fault. Like, I'm not mad at Graham Gano for getting old and getting injured and sucking. It's not his fault. It's not him I'm mad at. So any messages directed at him to me are silly.
So who are you directing your death threats
I'm
at?
directing my anger at the management of this team, whether that falls squarely on, one person, another, or both of them. I don't know. We'll find out eventually at some point. But I mean, uh, again, like I don't want to rehash podcasts past, right? But like we said this was the most obvious thing of all time. This is a misallocation of resources in general. Like, whoa, my cat is moving my camera. Sorry about
What
that.
was going on?
He's falling asleep here. It's all good. He's helping me.
Wake his
Uh,
ass up.
no, he's helping. He's doing good. But yeah, I mean, like this is one of those things where, I would rather spend that money on, some other asset that gets us first downs and gets us touchdowns. I don't need to kick a 50-yard field goal. That's not my aim. When we're good, we'll get a kicker that can kick 50-yarders. Until then, you know, Save money. Get somebody who's money from 35 to 40 yards and worry about that later. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm annoyed at management. So uh yeah, I mean this is just a joke now.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been keeping track at home, 2023, he was terrible. He missed a lot of kicks, and then he got injured. And he got injured before a game, and they decided to. He said he was going to have to get surgery after the season, and the Giants never thought, hey, maybe that's going to affect him. It did. They lost a game because of it, and then he goes on IR the next day. Your cat keeps on moving your camera. The people can't see it, but I can see it. Um, and then comes back in 2024, gets injured in warmups, goes on IR, came back. He was actually pretty good once he came back, but and then this year got injured in warmups again. Again, dude, really? Yes, again. And then came back for 2 weeks, missed a kick, and now he's dealing with an under injury, and he's going to try and tough it out. Maybe the Giants are going to go back to him again once he's quote unquote healthy, which is the craziest part too. Uh, Younghoe Koo must be the worst kicker of all time in practice. That he's losing out to Jude McAtamney, and they keep on trying to roll out Graham Gano. So hopefully we don't need the kicker on Sunday because it's
Yeah.
we're going to the Windy City too. Um, which all the Chicago people will say it's not because of the wind. It's some other reason that I can't remember.
It's like an old thing from I think like the 30s or 40s. Like the wind means like the breeze, like
It is windy there,
it's
though.
like rumors, you know what I mean? It was like people, I don't know, the news or some bullshit like that. It's an old
Yeah.
term.
Remember when, well, we had Robbie Gould and we had the Robbie Gould revenge game in Chicago, and they were all missing. Like, I think there was like 4 extra points missed in that game because of the wind was blowing like 30 miles per hour or
Well,
something.
I think the stadium is like right off the lake, isn't it? Or like right near the lake. So you got all that like northernly. I don't know anything about
Yeah.
weather. Danny's not on the show yet.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll figure that out later. Alright, let's get into the actual preview part of this, though, and I do wanna start with the Bears offense versus the Giants defense. That's an unfavorable matchup for the Giants. I think they do actually have a favorable matchup when we get to our offense. Ben Johnson is a damn good coach, and he's got that offense humming pretty well. They're 6th in points per game, and it's not just, "Oh, they're good in the red zone," right? They're 3rd in yards per game. They're actually bad in the red zone. Let me see where do I have my red zone numbers? They're 25th in red zone percentage, and they're still scoring 6th in the NFL, so they're moving the ball. And when you look at the numbers and the film, it kind of starts with the running game and the play action game. They're the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL with 145 yards per game against the number 31 rushing defense in the NFL, that is the New York Giants. Last week, they played the number 32 rushing defense on the Bengals. So, Grump, they're not like this road grading offensive line. Like, they're good, but they're not overwhelming you. Um, and their running backs, DeAndre Swift is set to return, most likely, and then Monangai, our guy from Rutgers, the 7th round pick. He played really well in DeAndre Swift's absence the last couple weeks. Swift is averaging 4.5 yards a pop for 464 yards. Monangai has 362, but 5.3 yards per carry. They just throw a lot at you in the run game, and they just play action off of it so well. So it's a well-oiled offensive scheme. We'll talk about Caleb. I still think there's some big flaws in his game, but like the run game and the play action game just work together so well where you can never really dial in on it.
There's a lot of creative formations and use of motion. So Ben Johnson really likes to have guys sprint out into motion as the ball is being snapped and kind of pull guys out of the box when they're in man coverage and stuff like that. Lots of like orbit motion, crazy shit like that. So he's really good at being creative, and there's all kinds of like wacky ways to run the ball. And then off of that, and like you don't see too much I formation in the NFL these days in the modern NFL, but Ben Johnson still uses it, and he'll throw out of it. And he'll do play action off of it. So his creativity and his ability to manufacture a running game through mismatches and movement and getting guys out of the box and just misdirection in general, a lot of smoke, um, allows him to play all sorts of things off of it because you really can't just like you can't just like lean into stopping the run the way that they do things, right? So it's all creative. Look, have pass looks that are run game plays. They have run looks that end up being pass game plays, and I would say that they work the screen game off of it really well too. So like even if you get in a situation, because like you said, the offensive line, they're not road graders. They're also not like exceptional as pass protectors either. Um, but at the same time, like, they're very good at running really creative screens as well. So, like, all kinds of crazy stuff where you have a running back pull out into the flat and draw the defender, and the running back staying in to block ends up getting a screen. You've got guys all in front blocking for him. Same thing with tight ends. Lots of le legitimate pass block reps that turn around into screens that are designed. So you can't just, like, pin your ears back either, even if you have a lead. So this is a huge mismatch for the Giants because the Giants can't stop the run anyway, even if things are straightforward. They failed to do a good job against Washington, which has a similar level of misdirection and smoke in the run game.
Yeah, they're
And
diverse. That's where the Giants run defense is bad most of the time, but it's when you get a diverse run game, that's where they run the troubles, right? Where they're gonna run their, like, big on big man run concepts. They'll run counter you. They're gonna run gun toss, right? Where you're planning for the run to go one way if they're gonna run it, and they're gonna toss the other way. The receivers have bought into the blocking, even DJ Moore. They're gonna motion the wide receiver in to block, like, they're gonna work jet sweeps. They'll even put DJ Moore in the backfield at times, and then, they'll give him a handoff here or there, or they'll put him in a fade from the running back spots. Like, they just make you account for a lot. And again, you can't sell out because of how much play action they do. And I wanna wait for a second to get to, like, the play action numbers. Usually, we don't talk about individual backs too much on these previews, but we all know DeAndre Swift. I actually don't like DeAndre Swift. He's looking for the explode. I think he has terrible vision. He just ends up on these, like, great run units. Detroit, a few years ago, and they hated him even though he was getting, like, explosive plays when they would run. Then he had that 1,000-yard season for the Eagles. Last year, obviously, didn't do much with the Bears. Now he's doing, he's producing pretty well. He's coming back from that injury. But Kyle Monangai, the rookie out of Rutgers, I was like, running back sometimes it's hard to project them into the NFL, right? Because most of them look pretty good in college. Um,
it's also so dependent on the offensive scheme and blocking.
yeah, and it's like, oh, he's got good vision, but like it's a very clear path for him, and he's one cut and go. But you can't always like you're not going to reduce like that sometimes. Where it's like I'll just look at guys like the more and more I'm like I look for explosive play rate and broken tackles. Like that's the kind of the things I look for in running backs now. Um, Monangai wasn't that guy though, so it's like I like a lot of watching his film, but that's a question. He has been pretty damn good. Like he is one cut and run, right? It's defined where he's gonna press, press, press. It's a defined hard cut, and then he's just gonna run through guys' chests. Hell, there's even one time where he almost ran through his right tackle, almost tackled him, and he just runs through it. Um, he's been like a pretty fun player to watch, and I feel like Ben Johnson is gonna love him and love him. And I got the first pick in the fantasy draft, so I can spoil it a little bit. I have no clue how they're gonna deploy those guys now that Swift is back. Maybe Swift comes back and he just gets the load of the carries, but I have a hard time seeing Ben Johnson putting Monangai back to the bench or not giving him at least a lot of the share snaps.
I mean, I don't think that it matters in terms of fantasy because I'm struggling to find a way where the Giants are able to defend the run. I mean, this offensive scheme specifically in the run game really requires 7 disciplined players that are able to either stand up their blocks or beat their blocks, and the Giants don't have those 7 guys. So I'm not really certain how this is going to work out. It's going to have to take, the front four really dominating their game or somebody stepping up at the linebacker level to, really be a student of Ben Johnson's tendencies and call things out. Cause I don't know. Like we said, this is a total mismatch for the Giants.
Yeah, so and that's something Ben Johnson, he'll find your weakness and he's gonna exploit it. And I don't think Paulson Adebo's playing. You can expect them to go after Deontay Banks pretty heavily, and they're gonna find weaknesses in the run game. But the play action, like they run a ton of it, like true under center play action, like, and they use play action passing for a third of their passing game, which is quite high. And Caleb Williams has the 5th most passing yards per game out of play action. One, they've got guys when you play man that are going to win, right? Odunze and DJ Moore, those guys win versus man coverage. Um, And then for zone, like they're running zone beating plays, and that's where they look for their big shocks, right? They're going for big plays out of their play action, and they've been able to find it. And it's just it's hard. I think it's hard for any team, right? They're 6 in scoring for a reason, but against the Giants, I think that's just going to be really tough to try and hone in on something because Ben Johnson doesn't let you do that. Um, and there's another element, the trick plays. I'm a trick play hater, right? If people had, like, their own stupid taglines and made T-shirts, I would be like, "Ban the trick play," or whatever, except for Ben Johnson. Even with that Jameson Williams playoff interception, he's the one guy who I'm like, "Yeah, keep running trick plays because he legitimately figures out how to new ones and great ones every single week. He puts Coach Klein to shame with his trick plays.
Yeah, I mean, the other element to this is their deep shots, and they're not afraid to run them. So, like I said, there's a lot of run game stuff, and they get a lot of success with that. They run a lot of screens. They have two really good tight ends in terms of moving the chains. But then they'll sprinkle in that they're not afraid to just like throw a deep post or something like that. Roma Dunze and DJ Moore both offer something there. Um, it is nice that the Giants should have Javon Holland back. They should have Cordell Flott back. That should help with some of that. But again, like the Giants have been missing those guys and they've been terrible without them. But it's not as if those guys have been playing at like even a Pro Bowl level, right? Like Cordell Flott did almost give up a really backbreaking play against the Eagles by biting on double move, which can still happen. Javon Holland hasn't really produced any stats. But I guess the upside is that we're not playing guys that should be playing special teams at starting positions on the defense.
Just gonna continue to disrespect Jack Bernard Converse. Uh, Overall with their passing game, we it feels like we haven't even mentioned Caleb Williams. They're 10th in passing yards, they're 8th in net yards per attempt, so it's not just volume. He holds on to the ball a lot, right? Like, we talk about the play action, he gets the ball out when that reads there, he throws against me, like, he still creates a ton, and I just creation is obviously, like, a good thing and a bad thing. I just when I watch him, like, I just feel like it's not creating positives more than not. The only positive is he does avoid sacks,
Right.
you know? That's the positive, is he's not taking a bunch of sacks. I think he's only been sacked 14 times in 8 games. I actually have that number. That is correct. Um, so, like, he's just not been able to make the plays out of that. The his fastball is fast, right? But it also loses accuracy. You need an interception this game, right? The Giants have 4 on the season. They haven't had any since the Cordell Flott, interception in that first Eagles game. Um, their receivers are banged up, right? Like, both Odunze and DJ Moore were DNPs on Wednesday and then limited on Thursday. So we'll see if they even, fully play, but they both like, pass it around fairly well between the 2, even though Romo Odunze's dad is a pain in the ass. Have you seen that? Romo Odunze's dad is just constantly complaining about how Odunze's used, which is funny because you remember the draft talk of like Odunze versus Neighbors. Like, well, Odunze, you're going to get a guy who's not going to cause any issues, hard worker, is never going to complain, but his dad will. His dad will never shut up complaining about his role. So it's just, the run game, the play action, but Caleb is also creating some unnecessary negative plays, like incompletions, not a ton of sacks, but, like, just plays where it's like, "I hit the outlet." Instead, he's running around, and it doesn't lead to much for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the thing is the Giants do have a pretty decent pass rush. I know like they're not utilized to their fullest. I have issues with the way they're deployed and how they're not being given any favors by the way the scheme is set up and what they're doing. But at the same time, like Caleb Williams can be hard to bring down, but if you get pressure to him, he definitely holds on to the ball too long. He starts running backwards. He refuses to throw the ball away. So there is opportunity for negative plays if you can get pressure on him, but those opportunities are going to be here and there. They really just don't drop back without a whole lot of disguise that's gonna delay the pass rush. I think that there's an opportunity on the right tackle side. What's his name there? He was a Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright, a little bit clunky, bigger right tackle, not as much speed. So you might be able to get some speed around the edge, force Caleb Williams up in the pocket. or get a hand on him and get him scrambling around. Of course, he's also dangerous leaving the pocket if he decides he's going to run. He definitely has that ability. Um, but that's really where the Giants can make their money. And with all the accolades that we're throwing at the Chicago Bears and their offense right now, with the exception of last week, they only scored 30 points one time this year. Obviously last week was a barn burner against terrible Cincinnati Bengals, the only team with a defense worse than the Giants in the run game. And they scored over 40 points in that game in a back and forth matchup. But um, they're really not racking up a ton of points on offense. And, you know, far be it from me as a Giants fan to really ridicule, beating up on bad teams, but the Bears' 5 wins kind of came against teams that the Giants should be able to win games against. They didn't, beat the Cowboys or
The
beat
Saints,
the
Commanders,
Commanders and Saints. Exactly. Yeah. I
they're
mean, these are
too
all
close.
games that the Giants should have won, but I mean, they when it came time to play, talented programs like Minnesota, even, Detroit, they just did not win. So all the accolades we're throwing around to the offense, like if this Giants roster were a well-run organization that didn't have kickers with neck injections, trotting out into the field, this is a game where there's opportunities to win. It would be a difficult one just based on the matchups, but it should be an opportunity for a win here. I don't want to preview too much into my, score prediction here, but
Well, let's talk about the offense then, because that's where the Giants need to have an awesome game. Like, I don't have as much faith in the Giants' defense as you, but like in theory, the Giants' offense should be able to dice up the Bears' defense. They're giving up over 28 points per game. They're 29th in the NFL. Like, they're ranked worse than the Giants' defense. They're 25th in passing, 25th in rushing. Right? They're equal opportunity offenders on defense. Um, they're extremely injured in the secondary. Right? Nick McLeod is starting for them. They have no edge pass rush, despite having Montez Sweat. They've played mostly softer zones, including cover 2 at a higher rate. Like, the only redeeming thing about that defense is they get turnovers in true Dennis Allen fashion. They have 13 interceptions in 8 games, which is the most in the NFL, and they've had their bye week, and they still have 2 more interceptions than any team in the NFL. So, like, that's I'm not gonna blink at that, but they play more basic zones with the players they have, so your zone beaters should work, right? The Ravens got post wheel on them a couple times. The Giants have ran that at ad nauseum. I think the Giants should put a little more on their playbook like they did in the fourth quarter for Jackson Dart. But Dable and Kafka, like, just need to put like a big boy game plan for Jackson Dart, because these are the types of defenses where these Dable and Kafka games have just went off, right? The Cowboys, the Colts, the Card, like these are the type of games where it's like they have bad secondary plays, they have no pass rush, which the Giants offensive line has been awesome this year in pass protection, so they'll be able to hold up. This is the game where it's like, all right, put it on Jackson Dart's play, and Jackson Dart deliver, right? Jackson Dart has not had a big passing yard game in his career. I mean, what's the highest? The Eagles, did he have what, like 220, 230 yards in that one? Like, I think we should approach 300 yards passing in this game. Like, Jackson Dart, let's have a big boy offensive game in this one. Not to say that he hasn't, but I'm saying, like, just put the a playbook that you would want for any quarterback, Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, put that as the game plan for Jackson Dart.
yeah, absolutely. The Bears like to bring pressure too. Dennis Allen likes to be aggressive. He just usually runs like a straight up 4-3 defense, doesn't do a whole lot of
Yep,
stunting that I've
sorry, Dart did have 283 passing yards against the Broncos. So do that again.
Yeah, and what Dennis Allen likes to do is bring 5 and bring 6 guys, and one thing that Dart has been good at is against the blitz. He's been good at recognizing when the blitz is coming, and he's been good at finding his hots and getting rid of the ball or scrambling away from the blitz and gaining yards with his legs or otherwise, just throwing the defense off by moving around. Um, the Giants are also getting a little shot in the ass by having Daniel Bellinger come back. So now you have Theo Johnson, Daniel Bellinger, you have Darius Slayton still, you have Wandale Robinson, who's been producing for you this year. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Put together a big boy game plan. Let Jackson Dart sit back and carve things up. Let him dissect the defense. Continue to use hard counts to identify when blitzes are coming and take advantage of that, right? They do not get good pressure with their front four. That's the only time they really get serious pressures when they bring 5 or 6 guys, which is usually a pretty typical the 2 middle linebackers, you know what I mean? The 2 inside linebackers are the guys who are typically coming in to be the 5th and 6th rusher. Montez Sweat possibly would be an issue if Marcus Bowe were playing, but it looks like Jermaine Illuminor is gonna play.
Yeah.
He didn't practice Wednesday, but he did practice in a limited capacity on Thursday. Gave it his adamancy.
Over Sweat would be an issue, or
Correct.
not as much. Not to
Yeah.
say anyone's better than Sweat, but shouldn't be an issue for the game plan.
No, of course not. And there's other things you can do, right? You have a tight end over there to chip, and it's enough for Illuminar, right? Um, as long as he's not, getting his feet all crossed up trying to deal with the outside and into the spin move on the inside. As long as he's squared up, I'm not worried about Illuminor on Sweat, or at least I shouldn't be. And given Jermaine Illuminor's adamancy that he was going to play to Dan Duggan last week, I assume that he's going to play despite being a DNP on Wednesday. So, yeah, hang in the pocket, work against the blitz, and you know throw some things downfield, right? Enough of this junk all around the line of scrimmage. Stretch them deep, work the middle of the field. You can do this. Um,
Wait, you mentioned like they like to play zone coverage, but also blitz. That's where Dart has been really good, is because
Right.
the Giants have ran a lot of these zone beater plays for Jackson Dart, and they're going to get that continuously. When they blitz, they just have less guys to cover and match those zones, and Dart has done a great job against that. I think of them hitting that wheel route against the Broncos where they ran just basic cover 3, but they sent an extra guy, and then there's an open spot for him to throw the ball to. So, um, that's what I want to see out of Jackson Dart, like working from the pocket, read, like against this defense, you should be able to like know where you're looking and read a defensive player and then adjust off that and make the throw on time, and you should be able to get yards because a lot of teams have done it against them, right? If listen, I want Jackson Dart just to play well, no matter what. This game, I would like to be a little bit picky and be like, hey, just do it from the pocket, right? We don't need you to create or scramble. If you do that and find success, I'm not going to come on this podcast and complain, but I think this is a game where we can just kind of stand in the pocket and do what we do fairly well. Um, Other notes, run game. Their run defense is bad. I'm just interested to see how they continue to deploy this run game now that Cam Scatterbo is out.
yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little in the review podcast, but it is interesting how Singletary wound up with more snaps. You know, I wonder how cautious they're being with Tyrone Tracy following the shoulder injury. They don't want to run him into stacked boxes, which is possibly why Singletary was getting some more snaps. Um, I don't really know. Um, I think it's possible that Singletary gets more snaps again this week. Um, or yeah, I don't know. I think they'll probably use Tyrone Tracy a little bit more in the screen game and stuff like that, third down back kind of role. But we'll have to see. I don't know if that's going to be a continuing theme for the rest of the year or if it's just going to be a game by game basis. I could see this being another game where Singletary gets a little bit more carries, but yeah, it may not stay that way for the rest of the season.
All right. Anything else before we go to our weather correspondent, Danny King?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything that I've got in terms of offense and defense.
All right, that's everything that he's got. I will now welcome on Danny King for weather and trivia. Danny, how windy is it in the Windy City this weekend?
I was checking all week. The models were coming in to me,
Is it
as I do.
Are you windy in your room?
Earthquake?
You got like a camera, looks like it's blowing all over the place.
No, I was just adjusting because when I saw the episode last week, it was like 2 up here. So I'm like, "Hey guys, welcome to the show." So I was trying to fix it, make sure it's all good to line up in frame. But at first, when my models came to me this week, it seemed like it's just supposed to be rain and snow the
It's
entire
still
game.
shaking, by the way. It seems like
It
it's
is?
windy yeah,
All right,
but it's not on
hand up,
stable ground.
hand up, hand up.
Your
I
desk
mean, this is California.
must have a leg that's, a little unbalanced.
Maybe this is the big one this week. Who knows? But it seems like the rain and the snow should at least happen Saturday night and the Sunday, so you don't got to worry about.
So there'll be snow on the ground though?
I don't know if it'll be cold enough, like the ground wise. Like I'm not.
Oh, you don't know. Okay.
Am I? Oh, so now I got to take a thermometer to the street. All right, cool. Oh,
You're supposed to predict the weather.
my apologies. But it's supposed to be windy as hell. That's one thing I know for damn certain. It's gonna be windy in the Windy
If
City.
you ever been to hell, the breeze is just unbelievable in there.
I've been told that we're gonna see gusts in the 30s here this Sunday. So God knows who's kicking for us. Maybe a guy if I heard a native disc in his next. But it's supposed to be windy. Gusts 31 miles per hour, just base wind of 15, 17 miles per hour. So if you're going, that's gonna suck. You might be like, all right, maybe it won't be too cold. It's gonna be cold as shit. It's gonna be 40 degrees, but that's just what it feels like without the wind. With the wind, you might be into like in the 30s, maybe even in the like the 20s. By the time kickoff starts, we're gonna be at 38 degrees. 38 degrees.
Oh
Are you
my
kidding me?
gosh.
I
It's
mean,
like
I
a
get it.
time change happened and we just like teleported into hellscape winter.
No, literally. We might be at 25 degrees. That might be the feel like temperature throughout Chicago on Sunday. So if you're going to the game, Mickle might be going to the game. You're a trooper.
Mickle better be there.
You're a trooper if you're going to this game. It's supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be windy. But I guess with what everyone's concerned about with me, will it rain or will it snow? I think Saturday night is when it happens. You might have an occasional shower in the morning, but your main concern should be the wind and slipping on ice.
Kicker issues. One of my favorite, like, not my favorite memories, but just like children are very funny, or at least like, middle schoolers and high schoolers was our principal had, like, we had an assembly or whatever. He's like, the cussing on campus is out of control. And even he's like, I heard somebody say it's cold as hell. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, instead of saying it's cold as hell, say it's frigid. And then so everyone on campus was just like, it's frigid as hell around here. That's how they came. Just the school joke, frigid as hell. All right, what do we got for trivia this week? Got a lot of. I felt like we were getting to Chicago every week or year, and it's been since 2022. It's been a while since we've seen our friends the Bears.
I decided to throw it back to one of my all-time favorite games I attended to in person. I was there. I was sweating. It was 2018. Giants, Bears. Giants fumbled away a 10-point lead in the final minute 13 seconds. Whole stadium left, basically, and then they just came back because Odell hesitated on a kick. First off, he threw a touchdown. Can you name me who caught the touchdown pass from Odell Beckham Jr. that day?
Russell Shepard.
Grump, do you agree?
Yes.
That is correct. It was Russell Shepard. Hype moment. But that's
Saquon jumped over Trey Amos in that game too.
Yeah,
Not Trey Amos, Adrian Amos.
It was lit. It was lit. But I was you go through the list. Curtis Riley, shout out Curtis Riley. Someone still got to do a milk challenge.
That's
But
true.
there was a man that intercepted Chase Daniels and the 8-4 Bears 2 times. 2 times this man intercepted Chase Daniels. Can you name me the guy that intercepted it twice?
Was it Alec Ogletree or Curtis Riley?
That's up for you.
I think Alec Ogletree led us in interceptions that year. I'm going to go Alec Ogletree.
Yeah, I think it was Alec Ogletree because I was at this game too, and now I'm like racking my brain. I have a distinct memory of all the Bears fans leaving and then trying to come back, and like cranky fan next to me was like, no, you get out of here. You left. Like he was like screaming at people. I think it was Alec Ogletree. Yeah, that's not. I'm gonna go with that. I want to disagree with Bobby and think of something else, but that is my best guess.
And you guys' guesses were right this week. Alec Ogletree picked off Chase Daniels twice. And like Bobby said, Alec Ogletree led the Giants in interceptions that year with 5. The guy that had 4 was Curtis Riley himself.
We had a lot of interceptions that year. It was like the defense was terrible, but we had a lot of interceptions.
Ogletree had 2. Curtis Riley had 4. B.J. Kudsit had 2, tied with Janoris Jenkins and Michael Thomas. And then one of the worst corners I may have ever seen, B.W. Webb, had 1. Great game this was. This was a riveting game and kind of one of those games you thought maybe like the Giants, this is like that game that's going to like propel them for the rest of the season. And it really didn't do much. They kind of
I think this was the game because didn't we win like 3 in a row and people were talking about like actually because this is when it was like we were still living off those Super Bowls. We're like, man, we might go on a playoff run. And then this was the game where I think Odell stopped playing after this game too. Wasn't he like missed the season after this? Was this Odell's last game as a New York Giant that I'm thinking about it? For some reason, I remember so many details about this game. I remember they put Kyle Lauletta at wide receiver in this one. It
Yeah.
was Kyle Lauletta's first game being active over our boy Alex Tanney, and they put him out at wide receiver, and Saquon actually had like a reverse run that way. Yeah, this was Odell's last game as a New York Giant.
That's why did he not play the rest of the year? I don't remember.
He had some type of injury that they
Ah.
shut him down for.
But yeah, this was you really thought this game was gonna move the Giants to the future. Then after the Bears game, they beat the Commanders. Then they lost 3 straight to the Titans.
Well, I mean, that technically did
was-
send them into the future. Their future was losing. So
that that is true. So I guess in a way, they had that nice loser streak in between there. Actually, no, they went on 2-game streak, lost to Philly, then beat. Yeah, great game that was. One of those games that I was happy to be there for, like a historic Giants win. It made 2015 feel a little better when one of the favorite games I've ever been to, and we lost because we had no defensive abilities in 2015.
All right, that was just for some reason that was just a memorable game from 2018. All right, for fantasy, how about that? I knew not having the first pick last week was going to screw me. I have, I don't keep records of this. Probably my worst week ever. I had 13.8 points, which means I'm now 13.5 points behind Danny, who had 66.7 points last week. So Danny takes the lead. Grump keeps on stacking good weeks, right? 43 points. So he's less than 40 points back. So this is as wide open as it's ever been in a week 9 fantasy or week 10. So I do have the first pick.
I think I did excellent last week. Danny had a win button with
Yeah,
Christian McCaffrey.
And then Singletary did me well. The backup Niners running back, I think I took him as well.
No,
And
that was
especially
me.
oh, that was you. There was someone else that I had that
Theo
blessed
had
me
a big
last
game.
week. Oh yeah.
Technically.
And especially with having taken the risk on Pearsall, then having to sub him out. There's still Grump is just like one massive week away from taking the lead.
Which is funny because I've been in last place the entire time.
This is
It's
why
gonna be
I'll never get rid of the point system instead of doing a week by week basis. I like the point system. Because even then, how would we? I guess you could do like 3 points for first place, 2 points for second, but that's too confusing. So I wish I would have thought about this when I was picking the order to start the season, because last week would have been a great week to have the first pick. This week is a terrible week to have the first pick because the Bears, you don't know what they're doing with their running back position. Both their receivers are dealing with injuries.
Yes, sir.
And the Giants have nobody on their team that you're like, all right, well, this is the guy that's going to get the most production. So I'm going to go with my guy. This guy, Cordell Flott's first touchdown he ever gave up was against this player. If he's facing Deontay Banks, then he's going to have a lot of success. I'm going to go with my guy, DJ Moore. I've always been a big DJ Moore guy. I just can't believe the Panthers felt the need to get rid of him in that trade for the first overall pick. So I'm going DJ Moore to start it off. Danny, you have the second pick.
I'm gonna play it safe when you can factor in the wind. That might make the passing game a little difficult, and he's gonna be back this week, so I will be rocking DeAndre Swift. He's done me well in fantasy this year. Uh, points wise, those points. Oh, there we go. You have 25, 20, 15, 16, 13. There's a 10 and a 9.5 in there. And with the Giants defense not able to stop anybody, I rather play it safe with the run game, expecting Bears to get a nice lead, and they'll pound the rock.
Pound the rock. Grump, you have back-to-back picks.
All right, so I'm just going to preface this as the Bears are really hard to predict how they're going to do stuff. So I don't want to take too many questions. I constructed a big board and I'm going to stick to it.
There we go.
And if it doesn't make sense, it's probably because I'm not very good at this. But, I'm just looking at this game and I don't know how the Giants stop the run, period. Just end of story, right? And I think splitting the carries between Swift and Monangai is probably happening. I'm going to go Monangai with my first pick in this snake right here. I feel like it's just safe picking a ground guy. And then after that, I'm going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson again. He's been a consistent point maker. And I think that that's just kind of the safe operation. I'm going to stay safe and not go big game hunting in this
You
fantasy
you
week.
thought we were going to question you. I mean, that was number
That's a
two and number three on my big board. I have
good
a
pick.
feeling that Ben Johnson's just going to fall in love with Monunga and it's going to hurt Swift's carries. I think Swift will get his carries this week, but I think as the season goes along, they're going to really give it to him. All right, Danny, you have your second pick.
Man, now it gets fun. Now it gets fun because I had the idea of going Colston Loveland, especially since he won them the game last week. But there's the chance Komet is back because he was a full participation per the practice report. So that really changes it for me. So I'm gonna go with the guy that last week put up 17 points, week prior put up 10 points. I would. Here comes the problem. I'm gonna have to say his name, and it's the biggest problem we're gonna have. Olam,
Devin Singletary. All right,
yeah,
next pick.
Olamide Zacchaeus. That I think I could get the
Olamide
Zacchaeus. Oh,
Zacchaeus. He was a
oh
wee little
shit.
man, and a wee little
Well,
man was he.
but he's been putting up points in back-to-back weeks. Giants secondary can't stop anyone, and with I can't the tight end spot is really scaring me with how the Bears are gonna do it. So I'm gonna take the guy and just hope he can maybe put up a touchdown.
All right, well, I'm going to take the Bears' leading receiver now that you've taken their other two receivers. I'm going to go Romo Dunze with my second pick. And I love the way the board has fallen to me. I'm going to take RB1 for the New York Giants. I think he is Tyrone Tracy. Bad run defense, just bad defense for the Bears. So going to be very windy, just like a hurricane. So Tyrone Tracy with my third pick. Danny, who is pick number three for you? How you
Really
get your guy
funny.
Loveland?
Really funny that Romo Duze, that crazy game the Bears played last week. No points. Didn't put up a single fantasy point.
Yeah, and his dad was pissed.
So probably this is the week that I probably should have taken him, but I don't know. I'm not a Romo Duze guy. It's weird. I just don't mess with him. Um, man, oh man. Is this the spot where I do the Singletary route again? Part of me kind of wants to because he put up 7 points last week, but that might be throwing it away. Maybe I'm overthinking it right now.
7 points is not enough for pick number three.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I should have wrote this down. Theo still is Theo gone?
No, Theo's still there.
I'm taking Theo. I'm taking Theo. I'll take the Giants side on.
It's so
11 points last
frustrating
week.
because the Giants run two tight ends a lot, so there really is no starting tight end in reality, even though Theo has been. But like I'm at the point now where it's like if he keeps dropping the pass, I just rather have Bellinger out there. Um, Grump, you have your final two picks.
A lot of things to consider here. I don't know that Tyrone Tracy is RB1. Remember, you were going ballistic last week that no one was taking Tyrone Tracy, and you're like, "There's this guy out there, is roadback one," and he did jack shit. So,
Hey, you trust the big board, okay? It's gotten me three straight championships. It'll get me four. You got to trust the big board.
yeah, I hear you. But like, this could be another Devin Singletary game. Darius Slayton is still out there. I think I'm just all out on Darius Slayton until he actually catches a pass.
He got points
Um,
last week though.
but he dropped a touchdown.
I know.
So, I this is probably going to sound silly. I'm going to go back-to-back tight ends. Colston Loveland has 250 yards and two touchdowns already, or 230 yards, whatever. I'll go Colston Loveland, and I'll go Daniel Bellinger, and I'll just live and die with that. Maybe it's going to be as windy as Danny says. Maybe it's going to be a bright, sunshiny day because
Hey, it could be.
Danny's
It could be
track
sunny.
record.
Could be
Yeah,
sunny, but it might be
but
windy.
if it's windy and just shitty weather, then a lot of tight end sets and they'll throw off of it. Both teams will. So those are my guys.
Yeah. Loveland is someone who I thought would have a bigger year. Um, and he hasn't until last week where he had over half of his receiving yards. All right, Danny, your final pick.
I think he'll catch a touchdown this week, and I guess I'll talk about him later. But I'll rock with Mr. Why did we re-sign him, Darius Slayton?
I think that's great value here, guys. I really think it is. They'd lead the team in receiving last week, so At some point, Darius Slayton's going to have a game where he doesn't drop a pass. That would be really nice if you could do that,
Glorious.
Darius. Just
Glorious.
maybe even 2 games in a row. That would be
Okay,
wonderful.
okay, you're getting greedy now.
All right, so I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna stick to the big board. I'm gonna go Cole Kmet. So we're gonna take 4 tight end with 12 picks in this. I'm going Cole Kmet, who was my realistic ceiling for Theo Johnson. Actually, my draft comp, his
Hmm.
realistic ceiling was Cole Kmet. So how about that?
Also, by the way, I did just realize it's 8:26. Denver was my pick. I haven't picked anyone. I haven't checked the score. There's nothing on the TV. Just want
I
to make that
trust you
perfectly
guys.
clear. But Denver before anything. They're probably
Yeah, so
down
we
10
got
now.
let's get that off the board. We got Raiders at Broncos -9.5. Danny's got Denver. The listeners will got Denver. Grump, what do you got?
I got Denver too. I have no faith in Las Vegas.
All right, I need this. All right, I just wrote Denver's instead of Broncos. Uh, it's windy. It's very windy in Denver. Bo Nix, I don't trust him with the wind. And it's Thursday Night Football. You got to buy into the weirdness. Raiders +9.5. All right. So to recap, Danny in first place has DeAndre Swift, Olamide, Zacchaeus, Theo Johnson, and Darius Slayton. Myself, 13.5 points back. DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Tyrone Tracy, and Cole Kmet. And then Grump, Kyle Monangai, Wandale Robinson, Colston Loveland, and Daniel Bellinger. All right, it's time for Giant Factors. I'm keeping mine short and not even that sweet. Darius Mosal probably not going to play. Demetrius Flanagan fouls. You're starting at linebacker. Ha ha, Grump. Suck it. You sucked last week. You just didn't do anything that I liked. You're more athletic than Darius Mosal. You're better fit to be an NFL linebacker. Go out and freaking do it. Make some plays in the run game. Okay, we can't just have a total a total failure at linebacker 2 next to Okereke. It's not like Okereke is lighting it up either. So Demetrius Flanagan fouls. Freaking make us Demetrius Flanagan fouls fans happy and be a damn Giant Factor. Danny, who is your Week 10 Giant Factor?
I mean, like, yeah, he's had so many opportunities, but it just gets so frustrated every single time. You see this guy drop a pass, and he goes out on Twitter when he has one good game, and he's like, "Oh, you guys aren't talking now." Like, I know Darius Slayton sees us, all of us talking shit on him. He's pissed off at him. I feel like I just pick guys that get shit talked every week. But
Graham Gano.
you're here, Graham Gano, R.I.P. But just your wide receiver #1 right now. We are just begging for someone to give Jackson Dart a fighting chance back there, and that is what you signed that 3-year deal for a moment like right now when Malik Neighbors went down. So please, just go out there, catch the football, make wide receiver 1 type plays. Showed why you were given a 3-year deal, because especially you're now on trial when Joe Shade and Brian Daboll most likely should be, hopefully, I'm praying, are gone. You're probably going to be trade bait next year. You might even be cut outright. Probably not. That's a little stretching it, but that's besides the point. Darius Slayton, make plays, make catches, score touchdown, then go on Twitter, talk your shit about us. I want you to lay it all out there on Twitter on Sunday, win or loss. So Darius Slayton, Giant Factor, please, we're paying you money to catch the football, so do your job.
Seriously. And I feel like he's been a Giant Factor for us like 5 times, and he's been missed 2 games this year. Yeah, just come on, please. We're begging you. Grump, who is your Giant Factor? And it's definitely not Demetrius Flanagan fouls.
It wasn't. I was afraid that you were going to pick mine, and it was Bobby Okereke. Bobby Okereke, I need you to step up. You're the one with the C in your chest on the defense. This defense feels leaderless. It feels rudderless. This run game is very confusing. Guys have to be disciplined and in the right spots. You're supposed to be the leader out there. Go out there, make sure everybody's lined up. Do your film work. Study the tendencies. Make sure everybody is disciplined in their run game. Make sure they're making tackles. Make Caleb Williams have to just drop back and pass, right? Let the pass rush be a pass rush in this game, and that starts by stopping the run, I guess. I don't really know how you beat Ben Johnson, but that's your job. You're the middle linebacker. You are the one with the C on your chest. Go out there and be a Giant Factor.
Hell yeah. All right, it's time for spread picks. We already did Raiders 49ers. Danny went 1-7 last week.
The board is not speaking right now.
Embarrassing. He's still in first place though at 33-39. Embarrassing to go 1-7. Grump is in second place at 32-40. He went 3-5. The listeners are in third place at 31-41. They went 3-5. No, they went 4-4. 3-5. And I went 2-6. I'm at 30-42. And you know what? This is why we're not doing any gambling ads on this podcast. Because we all just lose. You do it long enough, you'll lose. So if you want to do it responsibly. But I just can't promote it when we keep doing this. This is like a promotion to not download those apps. The listener, we got Ravens at Vikings plus 4.5. The listeners represented by Peter Lynch is going Vikings plus 4.5. Danny, who you got?
Am I making a mistake buying into the Vikings hype again? Yeah, probably am, and that's what I'm going to do. The Vikings plus 4.5. Ravens played the Dolphins last week. That was great. Congrats on your easy win. I don't care. Vikings are going to cover.
Grump, who you got?
I'm making a pick with my heart here because I want John Harbaugh to be on the open market to be hired as a coach. So I'm going to go Vikings.
Respect.
I'm actually going to go Ravens minus 4.5. I'm going against the grain with you guys on both picks so far. I'm not buying into it. Like, I saw the J.J. McCarthy stuff, and I'm like, oh, he must have had a great game. I was like, nope, 150 yards and an interception. And he's like growling and stuff. I think the Ravens are going to pick that apart. I'm going to go Ravens minus 4.5. Patriots at Bucks minus 2.5. 3 years ago, this would have been a huge game. I will always kind of remember the return, the whole video that kind of gave us chills. Patriots at Bucks minus 2.5. No more Tom Brady, no more Bill Belichick. Listeners got the Bucks minus 2.5. Grump, who do you got?
I'm going Bucks as well. This is an incredibly hard one to go with, so this is almost like a coin flip. But I just think that Baker Mayfield's got more experience and chutzpah.
Sorry, you know what? I'm so confused here.
Oh.
No, hold on. I'm going to figure this out live on air because I sent the spread picks to the listener, and he's only sent me back. Okay, so he forgot to send me one, so I'm going to use the backup pickers for the other one. Okay, that's confusing. All right, so Danny, who you got?
First real competition the Bucks have faced is since the Bills probably, and they're gonna be shown out. The Buccaneers minus 2.5.
I'm feeling good. I'm going against the grain this week. I got Patriots plus 2.5. Browns at Jets plus 2.5. The Jets got rid of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. I'm sure all of us, Madden GMs love it because that's the first thing we do when we start a franchise in Madden. I just don't think the Jets are going to replicate the talent. I don't. Sorry. It feels good in the moment. Let's see what it looks like in 3 years. And for that reason, I'm going Browns minus 2.5. One win Jets. I don't believe in them. Listeners got the Browns as well. Danny, who do you got?
If it was 3 points, I was considering the Jets, but that 2.5 had his don't mess with it, so I'll be taking the Browns.
Grump.
It's a clean sweep. I'm going the Browns. I don't know how a team. I understand you got to think long term when you're in management and stuff like that, and you need to make the right decisions. And I think it's at least arguable that those are correct decisions. But players in the locker room, I don't know how you go out and play after moves like that. Like that, I just don't get it. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Even if you fully agree with the Jets, and I think most people actually do, I think we all agree that this week the Jets are going to be extremely flat. I mean, Breece Hall was basically like begging to be traded, and then when he wasn't traded, was like, this sucks. Did you see? Speaking of Browns, the Browns didn't trade Jerome Ford because he's like their RB3 now, and he was like reposting stuff about like hating your job. Like
Take this job and shove it.
like just making fun of like corporate, those Instagramers. I love those because they are. I got like a little bit of taste of like how corporate stuff works. I was like, gosh, this is the same everywhere, and he's just reposting. Take
I love
this
Breece.
job and shove it. I'm not
Breece Hall,
working.
he allegedly liked a tweet that said like these guys traded a 3rd round pick for Kadarius Toney, but they won't trade a 3rd for Breece Hall.
Yeah. Jags at Texans plus 1.5. This Texans defense is legit, and I think a legit defense like that's going to overwhelm Trevor Lawrence. I got the Texans plus 1.5. Grump, what do you got?
I feel the exact same way. I don't. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence at all. I'm going Houston.
Danny.
Jaguars, because CJ Stroud probably won't play unless there's a miracle.
Who's their backup quarterback, the Texans?
Davis Mills.
He sucks, but I just don't trust the Jags versus this defense. Listeners are going Jags as well. Rams at 49ers plus 4.5. So we've been using backup guest pickers because sometimes the main one doesn't respond. So this one is represented by Mike Z Money because the main guest picker forgot to leave this game. So Mike Z Money is going Rams minus 4.5. 49ers Rams is just way too close for me to not take the points every single time. I'm going 49ers plus 4.5. Danny.
Yeah, the 49ers and the Rams know each other so well, so I feel confident taking that plus 4.5 to keep it close.
Grump.
100%. 100%.
Let's see if your one pick is good, Mike Z Money. Steelers at Chargers minus 3. I called it, right? You get off the bandwagon with the Steelers, and then as soon as you get off the bandwagon with the Steelers, they bring you freaking back. So I'm back on the bandwagon of the Steelers. Steelers plus 3. The Chargers are just too injured. Like, I understand, like, beating the Chargers was good and stuff. I don't think that offensive line went from a strength to just a total disaster. It's just hard to win that way. So I'm going Steelers plus 3. Listeners agree. Grump, do you agree? Grump, do you agree?
I guess so. Yeah, I think so. Pitt.
Daniel?
I just can't take the Chargers when Joe Alt's on the shelf, so I'll be taking the Steelers plus 3.
Imagine having like 2 first-round bookend tackles and then just out. That sucks.
That's and plus, this is stuff like if I was able to bet legally in California, this would be a line that I would feel extremely confident in. The Steelers being dogs.
Everyone picked that, so we're all again. This is what the Steelers do. They're gonna lose. We're gonna lose this one.
Yeah, 100%.
Eagles at Packers minus 2.5. We're not gonna watch this game because ESPN is scumbags. Dude, ESPN is at like an all-time PR low. I saw awful announcing, even like read an article. It's like no one feels good about ESPN. Like the whole solitaire
JJ
thing.
Watt.
Yeah, like the whole ESPN, YouTube TV, the idea that like, we're gonna take your side and that is ridiculous, number one. And then the Stephen A. Smith solitaire thing where all the personalities responding with like #ad.
It's horrible.
I will. I'm not gonna brag, but I'm gonna brag. I had the most liked reply on that and started trending because I was like #ad. I'm gonna burn down MetLife Stadium. And so everyone just started popping off their #ad jokes. So we're not gonna watch this game, but I'm gonna go. The listeners are gonna go Packers minus 2.5. Danny, who do you got?
I was the last thing on the ESPN. I unfortunately had the app prior because I got it for something I wanted to watch. It is one of the worst apps I've ever. It freezes every 5 minutes. ESPN has not developed a good app in their life. ESPN Plus sucked. The ESPN Unlimited, dog shit.
What do you use it for, UFC?
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, like the only time I would use your ESPN Plus for like 2 years until it logged me out just to watch the UFC fights. Who do you got?
I got the Packers because I'm hate watching the Eagles in 20 frames.
Grump?
ESPN has by far the worst broadcast among the NFL broadcast teams. It's not even the announcers, right? Like they broadcast in like 720p. It looks bad. They have the least camera angles. It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's a shame because they're like the worldwide leader in sports allegedly. And my childhood, ESPN was like the best thing in the world. So this is not like a legacy hating ESPN. It's been a downward spiral since forever. So I don't even care that I'm not watching this game. Good riddance, ESPN and Monday Night Football. I'm going Green Bay Packers. I just, the Eagles are stacking wins kind of the same way the 49ers are, except the 49ers are hurt. The Eagles are just good enough to win, it feels like.
Yeah, Packers got to get out of this funk, so I'm going to go Packers as well, too. Have you guys seen that Carolina Mike guy?
No.
You haven't, Grump? You're in Charlotte. It's the guy he sings this. He's like, if I had 150,000.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. I actually was going to send that shit to you.
So Topher Pete, who's a longtime friend of the show since like day one from day one, I even met up with him in Cocoa Beach once. So he has like his own podcast network, Bacon Shake. Go check it out. And I went on his podcast, and I was on the podcast with that guy, and he's like a celebrity now. They're like flying him to Carolina. He's from Minnesota. So if I had
Yep.
$150,000, what would you guys do with $150,000?
Put it all on Green Bay to beat Philadelphia.
That's why we don't do the DraftKings or the draft the bet sports betting.
By the way, Meow Mix got bullied into not coming back. It is the
Oh, they're not
funniest-
coming back. I saw that they said they were coming back, and then so,
Well, because apparently a bunch of former players are also like, "Yo, don't fucking come back."
that's gotta be so funny for them.
And they claimed they were planning on coming back like 2 weeks ago, and then they just decided it now. It's just, bro, it's my favorite saga in all of sports.
It's like it'd be even funnier if it like had nothing to do with the Panthers like win streak. They just like they went back to their families, realized they hate their wives, and like, let's do this podcast again.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said even though we planned to record last week before the results against Green Bay, we won't be recorded due to the overwhelming response from former players. We were just a small fun podcast in 2019 and needed a break from all the time we spent putting the show on. Hashtag keep pounded.
I feel secondhand shame imagining them typing that out.
Imagine Jonathan Stewart just be like, "Yo, don't fucking come back."
It's a leader in the locker room right there.
Oh man, negative rushing yards. The Panthers have become like the funniest team in the NFL this year. So keep pounding. I'm gonna go Packers. I already said I'm going to go Packers -2.5 as well. If I had $150,000, I have had it in my mind where I'm just like thinking of like I want to get rich. I just want to sponsor a NASCAR for one race, and I want all of our faces on it. I just want that so bad. Like I'm going to start playing the lottery so I can spend $80,000 or whatever it costs to sponsor one race.
Wait, I'm sorry. I hate to say it, I shit you not. Jonathan Stewart responded to the post and said, "Thank you for understanding." He actually may have said something.
Yeah. Do they? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
Giants podcast, by the way.
Giants podcast. All right. Score predictions: New York Giants at Chicago Bears. Danny King, what do you got?
Giants gonna lose. I got no faith for this team. Bears are riding high. I'll keep it short and sweet, but I think it'll be low scoring. I think the Bears scored 21. I think the Giants will score 13.
Grump?
I have no reason to have faith in this team. I saw a sapped, energyless team last week in a real opportunity to win against a really hurt team. I don't know how I'm supposed to expect them to stop the run against the Ben Johnson team. I just don't. I don't see it. And I don't think that it is a low scoring game. I think that they run all over this defense and they can't stop them. And I think this one ends 31-17 Bears.
There's going to be 77 points scored in this game. The weather throws me off a little bit where I'm like, this should be a high scoring game. But you know what? It's November football, right? And it's in the north. So that changes things a little bit. I know we did it, just a preview of what we expect and stuff in our segments, but I do want to like get a little review. I'm interested to see how the Giants show up in this game. Like it's negative feelings around the New York Giants, right? You have 3 straight games of giving them 30+ points. The Bears are a good offense, but the Giants offense has been pretty good since Jackson Dart took over, right? Not perfect, so a little bit of garbage time stats in there. Show up, right? If they come out flat in this game and get walked over, like it's already embarrassing, but I just feel like, man, that's just a real sign of the team that's done for. And then you got to go play the Packers and the Lions. Like this is, and realistically, the worst team they're playing over the next month is the Chicago Bears. So like, I want to see what they're made out of. And they're going to show up. Giants 77, Bears 0. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Thinking about going live maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see. Until then, let's go Big Blue.
I'm reading some of these hashtag ads.